Good evening, this is Liz Busquets. Today is October 20th, 2022. We are here for the monthly meeting of the ASCA Board of Directors. Present are Ann, Carol, Denise, Gina, Jan, Jean, Rick, Susan, Donna, and myself, and of course, Kala. The first item in the agenda today is the last month's email business.
This is Gina. I move to approve last month's email business.
This is Jean. I second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Gina, seconded by Jean, to approve last month's email business. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, so our next item is the system liaison report. Gina?
Okay. One of the questions that we get a lot is that, why can't we give an absolute date of finishing? And here's a good example of what happens. We had originally planned on retiring the Office ADMS system on 10/20, but when it was moved over to staging for us to test, we found bugs, and those had to go back to Inventive to have fixes, and then we have to retest. So that retirement date was pushed to 10/25. We should be deploying the final tickets on 10/25, and it should retire. Ray has the installation of the new computer scheduled for 10/26. Inventive is currently working on the member portal. The first part of this is the first time user log on. Each user will need to read the privacy policy and data collection policy. You will then be able to link your current account to this new membership account. At this point, duplicate emails on accounts will be addressed. The first person to use the email will be able to keep that email. Any other duplicate emails on accounts will be flagged, and that user will have to provide a unique email. There also will be an authentication process, and the code will be sent to either the email on file or to a text to the phone number provided. The first portal tickets that will be moved to staging for ASCA to test will be the existing user first time log on, existing user junior handler first time log on, new user link existing member account, new user link existing junior handler account, new user new member, new user new junior member, Aussie Times new and renew, kennel registration, signature payment, and the admin process. That's the workflow. Approve or deny. The litter registration, signature payment, the admin approval, approve or deny. Litter registration, signature and payment, lease agreement, signature and payment. So because most of us will be at the ASCA Nationals, we have delayed testing until we return. Maureen has been in touch with all of the testers and has provided test plans. Besides testing the functionality, we must also test the workflow. An example of this would be the workflow testing would be where the owners and co-owners need to sign off on transactions. Once the primary owner pays and submits, the co-owner will get an email alerting them to the sign off. Once they have signed off, information is processed at the business office. That's called the workflow. So that has to be tested and make sure all that works correctly. Heidi will be working on training videos, and there will be an FAQ that'll be posted on the website. Martin has completed the SQL query for the stock dog standings report. Frank has the website ready to receive the data. Martin just needs to do a few minor updates. The stock dog standings report will update weekly, and it'll be automatically sent to the website. The only problem will be if the business office processes results out of order, or if all the results have not been processed yet. But since it's a weekly update, it should be fairly accurate. as far as the Grand Champion program, we're going to do a Grand Champion report. Martin is working on this report because the rules on how the points are earned was not clearly written. The calculations were off. So Martin had to work with Mary Hillmeister to get this resolved. This report will be pulled and will go to the business office to be processed and certificates issued. And that's about all I have.
All right. Any questions for Gina?
Hey, Gina, this is Rick.
Uh-huh.
How many out? There was quite a bit, I guess, that was going to be pushed to testing in the portal. What is left in the portal that still needs to be completed?
I sent a chart on that. I can send it again. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, the membership doesn't have that chart, so I was just hoping
Yeah,
that
and I don't have that in front of me right now. I'd say,
okay.
you know, I have to go back and look. I honestly don't have that in front of me. I can tell you, I hope that we finish up the portal. Hopefully we'll be done sometime around Thanksgiving, and that includes the ASCA testing. Because of the holidays, our testing may go a little further. It's hard to say, but it should be in that time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else has a question for Gina? All right. Thank you so much, Gina, for the report. Okay, so our next item is a new form that Jean worked with the office to put together. Is for abandonment of a kennel. So, Jean?
Kala, I'm outside right now, and could you read what I sent you as far as the new policy? There's a new policy and a new form. It came about because somebody wanted to abandon a kennel name, and well, actually, what they wanted to do was transfer one name to another, and we said they needed to abandon one and then re-register. And with us doing lifetime kennel names, we have no method of abandoning a kennel name if somebody no longer wants to use it. So I sent Kala the actual verbiage for the registry rules, which I had forgotten. And so hopefully she has that because I'm outside.
That right here. It's a new section 2.7.13 of the registry rules, abandonment of an ASCA registered kennel name. A kennel owner who wishes to abandon, relinquish, and or discontinue the use of an ASCA registered kennel name must fill out the abandonment of an ASCA registered kennel name form and submit it to the office. All kennel owners must sign the form.
And that's that. And then you should have seen the form that the assistant manager made up for us, which will be placed on the website. And of course, it will be in the registry rules also. Any questions?
This is
Since
Carol.
I can't see it. Go ahead, Carol.
So we have the form looks great, and I understand the rule, but if this is a kennel, and I don't know who's supplying or whatever, but if this is a kennel that has Hall of Fame points or stock kennel of excellence points under the old name, is that going to transfer to the new name?
No, because, well, yeah. So as Jan pointed out in one of our early discussions, the computer system actually traces the breeder, not the kennel name. I, a long time ago, asked the Hall of Fame committee if they wanted to change either the methodology or the name of the award. And no, I'm good. And that was the end of that. So, so for instance, let's say I have points towards Hall of Fame, and my kennel name is Red Dog's Rule, and I decided I don't like that name anymore because now I have blue dogs. So I want C and blue, and I get more points under C and blue, and then I have enough for a Hall of Fame. What the system is going to do is it's going to look at the litters that I have bred and the titled dogs out of those litters, and it really is not going to pay attention to the kennel name, believe it or not. Because some people actually earn points for Hall of Fame before they even have a kennel name. So, and there are also some people who have earned points under 3 different kennel names and made each kennel Hall of Fame. So, it's, and I anticipate, never say never, but I don't anticipate that this form is going to be used very often. But it would free up a name if somebody else wanted to use it. So, like I said, the points that I got under my original kennel name would transfer with me to my new kennel name. Conversely, just because somebody took over my kennel name, my old kennel name, I abandon it and somebody else takes it, those litters that I bred under that name will not go to that new person because they will not show as a litter owner on those litters, if that makes sense.
Correct. That is correct. And that's how the rules read, and that's how it is programmed in the current system also. It's the breeder, not the kennel name, that gets the award.
Right.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So thank you very much for that.
Jean, I've got a question. Has this been cleared through Ray?
No. I spoke to Sarah.
Okay.
And I asked her about it, and we talked about it. And I just said, it's something that somebody doesn't have an avenue to do. Like there's no way to abandon a kennel name now. It used to be you just slapped your renewal, but you can't do that now. And,
I'm not questioning the abandoning the kennel, the form and everything. As far as the transferring of one kennel name to another, I unfortunately fell in that situation, and many years ago. And I asked Ray, and he point blank said no. I would have to start over.
They're on the east side of the field. It would depend. So see, I'm going to guess that in your situation, it was a co-owned kennel, and I know, and I know somebody else who that's the same thing that happened to him, and so like I said, he had to get Hall of Fame on his second kennel, but and that's anyhow, it's a little more complicated, but it does follow the breeder. And there is no mechanism in place for a single dog from a litter not to count for every single breeder that's on that litter. And that's why people have 4, 5, 6 people listed as co-breeders, because they all want to take credit for any dog that titles. And honestly, there is no way for the system not to rule out anybody. That dog is going to count for every person. It will.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jean before we take care of the motion?
And I think Ann seconded it.
Okay. So the motion.
Yeah.
The motion is on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Jean. The next item is finishing the 2020, was it 2023 National Judges slate. So, Rick.
Yeah, I have 5 additional judges that we need to approve for the 2023 Nationals. The first one being MBA, MBJ Judge Michael Ryan. I move to approve Michael Ryan.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve Michael Ryan. Any further discussion?
Nope, good choice.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Rick.
Next one is Nationals Ducks Judge Maxine, and I know I'm going to mess this up, Shivanavel.
That was
I move
perfect.
to approve. I move to approve Maxine.
Okay, so motion on the floor by Rick to approve Maxine Vanavelt as the Nationals Ducks Judge for 2023 Nationals. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is I move to approve Devonna Pierce as the National Sheep Judge.
All right. Motion by Rick to approve Devonna Pierce as the Nationals Sheep Judge. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, the next one I move to approve Sandra Zilch as the Nationals Cattle Judge.
Motion on the floor by Rick to approve Sandra Zilch as the Nationals Cattle Judge. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay, and the last one is I move to approve Lindsay Hines as the dock jumping judge for 2023 Nationals.
Motion on the floor by Rick to approve Lindsay Hines as the duck jumping judge for the 2023 Nationals. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, everybody.
Thank you, Rick. All right, so the last item for tonight is a discussion that Director Denise Grillman has requested, and is to consider holding 2026 Nationals in Bakersfield, California. Denise?
Okay, I know that we've talked about this before. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people have called me about this. I've said, you know, if you want something, you need to write a letter. Usually the only people that write letters are the ones that are complaining about something. So we all know what the financial situation is right now, that expenses of everything are going up, and entries are not as strong as they have been. And the fact that we've been in Texas for, was it 3 or 4 years now? And I think that we're going to be in Nebraska for 2 years, and that is as per membership request the middle of the country. And so we did what we could do to do that. We got it approved. We got our facility, and it is a beautiful facility. We're going to be there for 2 years. So that means that we've been in the middle of the country horizontally, maybe not vertically, now for 5 or 6 years. When you look at the population of the ASCA memberships, as in the chart that was made by Preston Kissman a few years ago, the vast majority is in the western portion of the U.S. And Bakersfield historically has had some of the largest nationals, if not the largest nationals consistently, and financially has been very profitable. And I think the facility is much less expensive than any of them that we're looking at right now. We've never had any problems in Bakersfield as far as safety measures. The fairgrounds continues to improve itself. We all know that the food was absolutely the best there. And as far as vendors, so I think that it is time that we go back to that location while we're still looking for other venues for us to be able to utilize. I know that Renee has looked at some more easterly and hasn't come up with anything yet. So we know that Bakersfield works. We know that it is economically a shot in the arm for ASCA. So I propose that we go to Bakersfield in 26, continuing to look for another venue that is, again, more easterly, and rotate back and forth between whatever venues that we have available. There was another chart that was given to us in 2019 that listed the states and how many exhibitors were at each nationals for the previous 5 years. And in the top 4, I believe that the top 4 always had Texas, always had California. I don't remember the other 2, probably Colorado, as being the top numbers of exhibitors for every national, regardless of where they were. The eastern states don't have as many dogs, and a lot of those people don't tend to travel a lot. In the Eastern Nationals, I think I don't remember. I don't have that chart in front of me now, but that I know several times that there were more California exhibitors at the Nationals than there were from the actual state where the Nationals were being held.
I know
so
that
with all that,
the largest entry. Tennessee did.
Yeah, Tennessee did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did, because it was right after.
Come on.
So looking at things as they are today, I feel that financially it's a good business decision to make, as well as the fact that it would service the largest number of Aussies in the country a little easier. So that is my proposal.
Okay, thank you, Denise. What I'm going to do is go around and let everybody say what they think, and we'll take it from there. Anne?
I agree, and I've seen the numbers that Bakersfield is absolutely the most economical and the cheapest, but not cheap, you know what I mean, facility to hold nationals, 100%. I also agree that the West Coast of the United States has a large amount of ASCA competitors. But then on the other hand, I do feel that even though it is a less number, that the last nationals east of the Mississippi was Tennessee. And we're talking about 3 years in Texas and 2 years, so we're talking about 5 years where there hasn't been anything east of the Mississippi. I like to try to be fair, spread it around. Obviously, I would love Bakersfield. Question I have, because we're talking about 2026, and I know that the National Advisory Committee is looking into additional sites, is that maybe a question I have is, what is our time frame for making a decision? Because literally we're talking about 4 years from now. And so is this something that needs to be decided now? Is this something that we can still continue to investigate? So that's just a question that I have, but in summary, I absolutely agree that it is the most economical. I have seen the numbers, and I know that they have been very successful nationals. I am certainly not opposed to it, but I do want to keep in mind the exhibitors east of the Mississippi and to try to be fair for all members of ASCA across the country. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne. So in answering your question, traditionally, I think the contracts have been signed at least a couple of years before the actual nationals. So
right. So is a couple 4 or is the couple 2?
2, like 2 years, at least 2 years. So it's been
right.
2 to 3 years before the date of the actual nationals, because the issue has usually been pencil the dates in with the sites. But anyway, I'm just answering the question right now. I'll say what I need to say after everybody else talks. So.
The Nebraska site was, we had that, that's, it's for 24, and I think we made that last year. The contract with Nebraska.
Got it.
So that was
Great.
4 years ago.
Yeah, and I completely understand why there needs to be that much. It
does, because facilities that are that magnitude all over the country are utilized all the time, and to be able to get the time frame that we need on the calendar, as well as weekend to weekend, 2 full weekends and a weekend between, you're gonna have to do it really early.
Right. I completely understand, and I am aware of that limitation. Yeah, I appreciate you looking forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Carol?
So I appreciate Denise bringing this up. I do think we have to start seriously considering. Obviously, we have some time to make a decision and to consider some other sites. I think that we really do need to consider looking east of the Mississippi, because for very many years it has not been east of the Mississippi. Always the challenge is to find an appropriate site that will fill all the requirements that we have, because we do have quite a laundry list of things when you consider all the venues and the camping, et cetera, et cetera. One thing I would say is that when you were talking about, it's hard to, you need to look ahead, because we need to have 2 weekends. Maybe we need to consider reviewing that and looking and having not 2 weekends. Maybe we need to consider going to a different time frame and see if that would open up any additional facilities. I don't know the answer to that, but it could be a consideration and something we probably should talk about before we move 4 years in advance. One of the concerns with any site, not only should it fulfill all of the requirements that we have, obviously, but I would be concerned for the safety of people attending the event on site and off site, and also what other things there are to do, so to speak. I mean, I know a lot of people make this their vacation destination, and so if there's additional attractions to the area, then I think that's always a plus for anybody that's going. I know that there's been some sites suggested. I'm not sure they've all been reviewed, but I know somebody suggested the Camplex in Gillette, Wyoming, which is, again, Western. I'd like to try to find something Eastern for our members that are there because, as Ann said, I'd like to be fair to them too. So I think we're definitely need to be in the hunt for a site, but I don't think, I mean, I think we have some time, at least a year, to be reviewing other sites and the cost of these sites. And I think the numbers that we have attending in the next couple of years could give us more information about how big a venue we really need. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Carol. Denise, no, Gina.
Yeah, I don't think this is something that we need to decide on tonight. I think we need to give Renee some more time to look into places on the East Coast or, east of the Mississippi. I'm not opposed to going to Bakersfield. I just don't think it needs to be decided right now. Yeah, and for the people that say, well, we need to find other facilities, well, we're always open to suggestions. And, if you can, each board member research some facilities and prices and that sort of thing, that would be a great help. And as far as the schedule, we probably could do it over one weekend and a week. But, if you look at the schedule, it's pretty jam-packed. And so we would have to cut some probably pre-shows out, maybe agility pre-trial, I don't know, but it's a possibility. Anyway, I think we should table this and do some more investigation on it. That's all I have.
Thanks, Gina. Jan?
I'm assuming this didn't come from the advisory committee. I know that I'm currently researching 2 facilities, one in Florida, one in New York. I know that Renee is researching facilities. As far as time frame, pretty much when I'm communicating with them, it's the date range, September to November. I specify what we are currently doing, but willing to look at Wednesday to Wednesday, doing things like that. So I think there's lots of possibilities in the East, and we need to go that direction. The ones I'm looking at, there's livestock facilities. It's now just trying to figure out, how the facility will work, make sure all the logistics, and if it's going to be something that is going to work for ASCA. And there's a lot of moving parts to it. And I think the committee needs to be the main person that's doing this, because all my correspondence goes to the committee, letting them know where I'm at on it, so that they know what I've looked at. And I get comments from other people, and I just start researching those facilities if they look like online. And yeah, people, the 2 easiest questions is, are you available and how much? And if they can answer those 2 questions, a lot of times since September to November is big fair time. A lot of these facilities are booked in that time frame. So if we start discussing moving to another time frame, that might be a possibility. But again, I would like to see the advisory committee give us an opinion on that instead of the board getting involved. I'm not ready to go to Bakersfield. I think it's a dangerous site. I don't think it's a good site for agility. And I think the confirmation rings area is way too small as well. So there is a difficulty with that facility with some of those spots. And I would like to know if there's another facility in California to be able to accommodate that might be a little safer situation. I think that's all I have. Again, I think the advisory committee is the people the most knowledgeable in this, and we need to listen to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Jean?
Well, I guess the board needs to determine what is the plan with nationals and locations going forward. Is ASCA's intent to move around again, or is it to try to stay in one spot, two spots, and not reinvent the wheel every time we go somewhere? Anyhow, I really think that until the board, until ASCA decides what our goal is, what the goal is, we can't really make any decisions. So as somebody, native Californian, I've been to every Bakersfield National. My very first national in 1992 was Bakersfield. I like it there, but I'm from here. It's easy for me. But again, I feel like I'm really looking forward to Nebraska because I do think it's going to be centrally located. We're never going to make everybody happy, but it seems like from everything I've seen, and I plan on going, it seems like it's going to be a tremendous facility, and I know that they're willing to work with us. Horse shows, different organizations, they tend to have their final events in one spot only because of, as Jan pointed out, booking commitments for other things. We've discussed this over and over again. We all know this. It's funny. I know that you guys are researching places on the East Coast, and I think that's great. But other than the red dirt that the confirmation people didn't like, that Tennessee facility was amazing. And there was a lot to do around there. So other than, no, that sheep pen was up in Oregon. Anyhow, so like I said, I think ASCA needs to sit down and identify what the goal is, and then make their decisions based on what they want the end result to be. And I will say, we aren't going to make everybody happy, but we can certainly try to make it more equitable for everybody, and maybe make the drive just as far for almost everyone, except for the people that live out there in the Midwest. I don't know. And as Gina said and Jan said, if you think of a facility, like Carol suggested, the one in Wyoming, call them up, find out if they're available on our dates and what their cost is, and start the ball rolling. So anyhow, that I'm not going to be here to make the decision on the Bakersfield one, so I wish you luck.
Thanks, Jean. Rick?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jean a little bit that the board needs to decide what the parameters are. Do we want to keep it 2 weekends? Do we want to rotate? Do we want to change the parameters as far as the dates and have during the weeks an option? I mean, we need to set those parameters so we can give that information to the NAC. I agree that we need to look east. I know we have been. I believe there's probably some places east, but they're a little bit out of our price range. So it's not only do they have the facility to accommodate us, it's also, do they have a price structure that can accommodate ASCA as well. And that's, to me, that's a big issue. But I think we do have a little time to keep looking, and we should. But we need to set parameters for the NAC, and if we're agreeable to changing those parameters than what they currently are, then we need to come together as a board and get that information to the NAC. I think it would be either a good board agenda at nationals or either the spring board meeting. We might have more time in the spring to address that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Susan?
Yes, I think we may be putting the cart before the horse. I like the idea that we would definitely make our decision as to if we want to go back to a rotational basis or if we want to go to stay at one site. You know, sure. Do I love having nationals in my backyard? Absolutely. But have I also traveled? Absolutely. I just want us to be able to, sorry, I think I just drove past the hotel. I want us to be able to suit the membership, but I want us to also be in a safe location. And I definitely am sensitive to the safety of the Bakersfield location. You know, Jan mentioned the field for the agility. Was it perfect? No. Could it be better? Yes. Could we try to always be better? Of course. Would we like to make everybody happy? Yes. Are we ever going to make everybody happy? No. You know, we've got to be able to give and take, but I want us to be able to help our membership out. Yeah, if we decide whatever, we need to decide what we're going to do first and, you know, assign the NAC with that task as we have determined. Are we going to rotate? Are we going to stay? Because they're spinning their wheels by doing all this research, and everybody that's doing research is basically spinning their wheels. And I for one, like to be efficient. So let's set what we're going to do and then go from there. And if it's a spring board meeting decision that we talk about it there, that may be the best. I'm afraid our time is going to be limited more at nationals to be able to discuss that, because it may get quite long in the discussion part. So maybe let's figure out where we're going before we make any decisions. And I do think it's a little bit early to decide that we're going to go back to Bakersfield yet. I know it can be a great site, and I understand the financial part of it, but it's going to be really interesting to see what we're going to do this year and in 23 and that first year in Nebraska. And we need to look long term on that situation altogether. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Donna?
So yeah, I kind of agree about the Bakersfield, the safety issue. That definitely has hit our radar. I do know that finding a facility is a huge challenge that will accommodate us, and resources, the number of stock that we need, and to have all those resources available. And I'd have to agree that I just think we need to sit down and set our parameters and decide what direction we want to go with that. I know it's a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into researching facilities. And so if we weren't just doing that randomly, like if we had an idea going forward of what we were going to do, I just think we could put our time and resources to better use. So I wouldn't be opposed to it being in Bakersfield, but I have to agree that I think we need to define exactly what our plan is going forward with nationals, and then look at facilities according to that. No, thank you.
Thank you. A couple of things. I had mentioned in previous emails that I thought that the board needed to make a decision on whether to go back to a rotation sometime next year.
Yep, I saw.
So I think we really need to do that. And if we don't, we don't. But if we do, then we need to work, make that decision and work forward with what needs to be done for that. Second, we seem to be in a catch-22 because, or more like a vicious cycle, kind of. The board needs to make a decision, but the board also needs information from the NAC. And then there's some people who think that it should be all on the NAC to make a recommendation and then come to the board. So not even on that do we have a clear picture of what needs to be done. So I think that the NAC needs to provide the board an update of all the sites that it has looked into, the ones that are not going to work, or the ones that possibly could work, and the reasons why. Because not only does the board have a need to know this, but I think that the membership also needs to know why certain sites are out of the question. So we need to be forward with that information to the membership so that they understand why certain regions are not being are not having as many opportunities to have nationals as others. So I think that, like I said, I think that it would be great if the NAC could give us an update of what sites have been looked at already and what sites are being looked at now, so that we can kind of like have an idea of what our possibilities may be. And second, I think that also the board, probably in the spring meeting, like Rick suggested, go ahead and make a decision on rotation or just one spot. And if we do it at the spring meeting, we'll have enough time to get enough feedback from the membership as well, because that is also important. So I think, our rotation may include Bakersfield. I think that to consider Bakersfield, we will need also, yes, we know it's cheap and probably cheaper than other sites, but the board would need an updated price for the facility, and all that, all that information that the board usually needs to make a decision whether to say yay or nay to a site. Because last time was 2019, we're now in 2022, and we're talking about 2026. So who knows how the expenses are going to be different. So we need some update on that too. So I think that's where I'm at. Sorry. I think we should table this to the spring meeting. Any other thoughts?
This is Gina. I don't have any other thoughts on this. I think we probably pretty much decided to table it till spring. But I would like to just say that, on a totally different subject, but that tonight is Jean's last night for the board telephone conference. She will be in nationals, but I would like to thank her for her years of work for ASCA. She's put in a lot of hours and a lot of work. So thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jean. We're going to miss you.
Yeah, you won't have that thorn in your side about the rules.
No, we need that. Thank you.
Oh, no,
Thank you, Jean.
I'm still a rule follower, so policy.
I think we all try to follow the rules. It's just that sometimes things get sticky. Anyway, thank you very much, Jean. And we also appreciate Donna being willing to come up and come to the board and work for ASCA in this manner.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jean. All right, so that was the last item. To everybody traveling to nationals and all directors, please be safe traveling. We'll see you there. And I hope that everybody has a great time. And come to talk to us if you see us. We'll be glad to talk to all of you. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Gina. I move to adjourn.
Jean, I second.
I heard Gina move to adjourn and Jean seconding.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? No. All right. Good night. Thank you, everyone.
See you in Texas.
Everybody stay.
night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see you in Texas.
Yep.
Good
See
night.
y'all in Texas. Good night.